ever completely misread someone?
Hmm.
Like you had them pegged as super rational, and then they make a decision that seems utterly bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally misjudged that.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
It's like our brains are wired for these moments of glorious irrationality.
All right.
And that's precisely where we're diving in today.
Okay.
With Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature as our guide. We're going to explore those hidden forces that make us do the things we do.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Sure.
Are you saying we're all just secretly irrational?
Secretly is the key word.
Okay.
We like to think we're logical creatures.
Right.
But Greene argues that emotions often pull the strings, far more than we'd like to admit.
Okay, so it's not just about getting emotional, though, right?
Right.
It's not just like having a good cry during a sad movie.
Right. Greene takes it a step further
Okay.
with this concept of high-grade irrationality. Imagine your emotions are like a volume knob.
Okay.
High-grade irrationality is when that knob is cranked up to 11.
Wow.
It's those times when fear, desire, anger, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
completely hijack our brains,
Yeah.
making clear thought nearly impossible.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
It's like your brain short circuits.
Exactly.
And suddenly you're not thinking, you're just reacting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just personal stuff either.
Right.
Think about mob mentality,
Yeah.
market bubbles, even political movement.
Oh, wow, yeah.
These are all often fueled by high-grade irrationality on a mass scale.
Whoa. Okay, I need an example
Sure.
because this is getting kind of intense.
Greene uses the Athenian general Pericles to illustrate this.
Okay.
Pericles noticed how politicians, convinced of their own sound logic,
Uh-huh.
would constantly get tripped up by their own ambition and hunger for power.
Right.
Each one thought they were being totally rational,
Yeah.
but their actions often led to chaos and instability in Athens. They were blind to their own irrationality.
So applying that to today, it's like those politicians who get caught up in scandal after scandal. They probably convince themselves they're doing what's right,
Yeah.
but really it's all ego or greed.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the scary part is, it's not just them,
Right.
it's all of us.
Oh boy.
Recognizing this tendency for irrationality within ourselves is actually a powerful step towards self-mastery.
Okay.
That's where we start to break free from these patterns.
So self-awareness is key.
Absolutely.
Knowing our own potential for irrationality is step one.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Okay.
How do we even begin to identify those hidden forces driving our behavior?
That's where things get really interesting.
Oh boy.
Let's delve into what Greene calls the shadow,
Okay.
a fascinating concept that explores the unconscious side of our personalities.
The shadow.
Yeah,
Okay, that sounds a little ominous.
a little bit. Yeah.
What exactly are we talking about here?
Think of it like this. We all have a public persona, right?
Right.
The face, we show the world. The shadow is kind of like the flip side of that.
Okay.
It's the part of ourselves we keep hidden, maybe even from ourselves sometimes,
Right.
because it holds all the insecurities,
Yeah.
the less than flattering impulses, the stuff we don't want to admit we're capable of.
So we're all secretly hiding our inner supervillain? Is that it?
Not necessarily a supervillain,
Okay.
but we all have those impulses we keep in check.
Right.
Think of it more like those embarrassing childhood photos you'd rather not resurface.
Right.
They're part of your story,
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily want them on display.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But if it's unconscious, how do we even know it's there?
Right.
How can we spot the shadow in ourselves or even other people?
It's subtle,
Okay.
but it often leaks out in our behavior, especially when we're stressed
Okay.
or feeling insecure.
Right.
Ever notice how someone who seems overly confident might actually be compensating for deep-seated self-doubt?
Oh, absolutely.
Or someone who insists on being hyper-rational
Yeah.
might be terrified of their own emotions.
Wow, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's like the harder someone tries to prevent a certain image,
Yeah,
the more you have to wonder what's lurking beneath the surface.
exactly.
Yeah.
And learning to recognize these subtle signs
Yeah.
can be incredibly helpful
Mhm.
in navigating relationships,
Yeah.
both personal and professional.
Right.
It can help us understand why people act the way they do, even when it seems irrational.
So if we start to notice these contradictions, these glimpses of the shadow,
Yeah,
what do we do with that information?
right.
Is it about trying to get rid of it?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
We're not trying to eliminate the shadow,
Okay.
because that's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It's about recognizing it,
Okay.
understanding it, and even harnessing it for good.
Wait, harnessing our dark side. Now you're really losing me.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
What if, instead of trying to repress those less than perfect parts of ourselves, we learn to integrate them? What if those hidden insecurities or anxieties could actually become sources of strength and creativity?
Okay, that's a mind-blowing concept.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of that?
Sure.
Of someone who actually managed to embrace their shadow side and turn it into a positive force?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Think about someone like Adele.
Okay.
Her music is so raw and powerful because she taps into those deep wells of heartbreak and vulnerability.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to show her scars.
Right.
And that's what makes her so relatable and inspiring.
That's a great example. Adele's music wouldn't be nearly as powerful if she didn't allow herself to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've explored the dark side, the irrationality, the hidden selves.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? What's the next layer of unmasking human nature?
It's about finding balance.
Okay.
Remember those masculine and feminine energies we touched on earlier?
Right, and I'm assuming we're not talking about traditional gender roles here.
Exactly. This is about tapping into the full spectrum of who we are as individuals. We all have both masculine and feminine energies within us.
Okay.
The drive, ambition, and logic, often associated with the masculine, and the intuition, creativity, and emotional depth, often associated with the feminine.
So it's like finding that sweet spot, that balance between the two.
Right.
I can see how leaning too far in one direction could throw things out of whack.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Repressing either side leads to imbalance.
Okay.
For example, someone overly focused on the masculine might be super successful, but struggle to connect emotionally.
Right.
Meanwhile, someone suppressing their masculine side might be bursting with creativity, but struggle to make their dreams a reality.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But how do we even start to find that balance? Especially if we've been suppressing one side for a long time.
It's about becoming aware of where you might be out of balance.
Okay.
Do you shy away from expressing your emotions? Or maybe you struggle to assert yourself in your career.
Right.
These could be signs that you're neglecting a part of yourself.
I see. So it's about recognizing those patterns in ourselves.
Exactly.
Are there any practical tips for bringing those energies back into harmony?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It might sound a bit woo-woo, but things like meditation, spending time in nature, or even just journaling can help you reconnect with your inner world and bring those energies back into balance.
So finding that inner balance is key.
Yeah.
Is there another piece to this puzzle?
It all ties into this fundamental need we all have, finding meaning and purpose.
When you say purpose, it makes me think about those eat, pray, love journeys people take.
Right.
Is that what we're talking about here?
Finding yourself in Bali is one way to do it.
Okay.
But purpose is about connecting to something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
Something that gives our lives meaning and direction.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do we avoid getting caught up in those false purposes Greene talks about? The things that look shiny, but ultimately leave us feeling empty. Like that whole work hard, get rich, buy a fancy car narrative.
Yeah.
That seems so prevalent.
You hit the nail on the head.
Right.
That's a perfect example of a false purpose.
Yeah.
It promises happiness, but often leads to a never-ending cycle of wanting more. A modern example would be the rise of influencer culture.
Right.
People chasing likes and followers, thinking it'll bring them fulfillment, but often finding themselves lonelier and more insecure than ever.
It's like that saying, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
We end up chasing someone else's idea of success instead of defining what truly matters to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finding your purpose requires looking inward, not outward.
Right.
It's about identifying your core values, your passions, the things that get you genuinely excited, and then figuring out how to use those things to make a contribution to the world.
It's about finding that thing that makes you lose track of time.
Exactly.
That flow state where you're completely absorbed in what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember, discovering your purpose is not a one-time event.
Right.
It's an ongoing process of exploration and growth.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
It has.
We've covered so much ground.
Yeah, we have.
From the irrational forces that drive our behavior to the power of embracing our shadow selves.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Well, we've explored many layers.
Yeah.
But there's one final layer to consider, one that often gets overlooked. Our relationship with time.
Right.
How can understanding our own mortality help us live more fully in the present and align our actions with what truly matters?
Right.
That's something to ponder.
Yeah.
As you continue your own exploration of human nature.
That's a powerful question to leave us with.
It is.
Thanks for taking us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
It's definitely given me a lot to think about.